Introducing the Paramena Bliss Podcast, a show dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of achieving optimal health naturally as you transition into perimenopause and menopause. Get ready to join your host, Dr. Seth Yates, an experienced naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, and kinesiologist, as he shares his wealth of knowledge acquired from over 40,000 patient visits and 15 years in working with perimenopausal females. Welcome to the Paramena Bliss Podcast.
Hey, this is Doc Yates, and welcome to the Paramena Bliss Podcast today, brought to you by abahealth.us. And today, I want to talk about osteoporosis, commonly called the silent thief. And at this stage of perimenopause, it's not usually that you're thinking directly about osteoporosis at right now, but knowing that the same imbalances that you will see develop in perimenopause is the same thing that will eventually can lead to things like osteoporosis, especially when it comes to hormone balance. And people think of osteoporosis like, oh, it's bone health, things like that. The thing you need to realize is that for a lot of seniors, is that initial fracture is what leads to their downhill spiral. So a bad hip fracture for most seniors is kind of can lead to, the end, as morbid as that sound. Is some people they just never recover back from that, from their mobility. Sometimes it leads to infections in the hospital. So keeping strong bones, key, absolutely key, and you have to start it early because that's why they call it the silent thief. And they probably actually call it the silent thief because it's just a way to kind of scare you. And I don't want you to be scared. I want you to be prepared. And you can easily do that by making a few healthy choices now, and then you won't have to deal with this at all in the future. The thing is, too, in modern medicine and mainstream medicine, is they use drugs called bisphosphonates. That is the treatment for osteoporosis and osteoporosis prevention. But the list of side effects for these is crazy. Some of the side effects is it increases fractures, and some of the side effects is it can lead to your jaw breaking down. Plus, you've got immune issues that can happen. It can lead to increased cancers. So, to me, that's not even a viable option. And the actual benefit of them when studied. So they will do a lot of work showing you, oh, here's a marker that shows that it works, or here's maybe the bones show like they're getting increasing density. The marker when you're doing those types of studies should only be fractures, and their effect to prevent fractures is so minimal compared to the long list of side effects they do cause. To me, it wouldn't even be close to being worth it. So what I want to do today is discuss what are some of the underlying issues that you can jump on now in terms of preventing osteoporosis and fractures. So we're going to start with number one, multi-minerals, not just calcium. It's so common that before they're like, oh, bones have calcium, so therefore we're going to just load things up with calcium. Bones are not just calcium. They're a mixture of minerals and proteins, and you have to make sure that you're getting all of the above. So not just calcium, but you also want things like calcium, magnesium, zinc. Strontium is a really important one. Manganese is another really important one. So do not go out and buy all those things individually. That would be a terrible idea. You don't need 20 supplements on your counter. You want to buy a multi-mineral formula, or sometimes they have multi-mineral formulas that basically they'll be probably labeled as like osteoporosis formulas. Those will have a mixture. A good one should have a mixture of all of the minerals and trace minerals and everything built into one thing. The next thing, the obvious one, of course we're going to touch base on it today since it's the Paramena Bliss podcast, is your hormones. Estrogen, this is something I've always found strange. If someone has a hysterectomy early and they lose their estrogen levels drop too early, they know they have a significant risk for osteoporosis, so that they start putting them on hormones. Now, keep in mind, they don't do a very balanced job of it. They typically just give high doses of estrogen. But yet, later on in life, they never consider that for anyone else, even after when they're going through perimenopause. They never consider, let's balance your hormones, because we're going to also be working for preventing osteoporosis. They just give bisphosphonate drugs. The role of hormones stays the same. Again, we're not trying to bump the hormones back up to like a 24-year-old pregnant female, but you need to get them, you need to have some levels of hormones because estrogen and progesterone play a major role in supporting the bones. So balance your hormones, balance your hormones, balance your hormones. Point number 3, everyone is typically aware of this one, but just burn it into your head. Consistent weight-bearing exercise. So if you want to strengthen your bones, you have to challenge your bones, which means you need to use weights. And it doesn't have to be really heavy weights, but you have to consistently use weights. So for your legs and lower body, it could even be just body weight. For upper body, some things it's just easier to use some sort of weight resistance. Number 4, herbal formulas. So there's a lot of formulas, specifically in herbs they use in Chinese medicine for bone health. When I'm picking herbs that I like to use for osteoporosis and prevention, I like to use herbs that have a multiple function, multiple benefits. Because that way I'm not just being like, oh, here's the formula you're going to take for years just for the prevention of osteoporosis. If I can build some of these herbs into a formula. First, let me give an example. There's an herb called epimedium. It's been shown to help with bone health. It's also a really good herb for stimulating libido. So if, say, I've got a case where I've got perimenopause, we've got low libido, I want to stimulate that a little bit, plus I want to prevent with osteoporosis, then I can use that one herb to get multiple effects. Another one would be, let's say, there's an herb called Hishu Wu. It's good for tendon health, blood support. So say I want to prevent osteoporosis, and the person kind of has like a pale colored tongue and a little bit of like what they would call blood deficiency or anemia in Chinese medicine, then I want to put that formula. I want to use that. So I want to pick different herbs that have a blend. Or I can pick herbs that have lots of minerals in it. Like there's a fucus. Say it's a thyroid issue. There's an herb called fucus, which is a type of seaweed. It's got a lot of trace minerals. It has a lot of iodine. They use it for thyroid support. So again, I'm always trying to figure out ways you can kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone. That is also kind of a morbid analogy, but you want to be able to get multiple effects from every one thing that you do. Point number 5, diet. The big thing with diet, you really want to do things to decrease your sugar intake, decrease your caffeine intake. No one likes to hear that one, but coffee, pop, sugar, pull those way back. Like, if anything, just stop if you can. I usually allow people, if they want coffee, they can still have 1 coffee per day. But otherwise, that's the cap. And then you want to increase things that are very mineral rich as well. So the big thing for that would be nuts and seeds. Specifically nuts and seeds, because when you're trying to get lots of minerals, you want plants where the roots go really deep. A lot of the things that you're just getting from regular farm produce is that the roots don't go that deep. They don't replenish all these minerals back into the soil, so they're not going to be in the plants either way. So still, yes, you want to eat lots of vegetables. There's lots of benefits for that. But to really get the minerals up, nuts and seeds, things from trees. And then seaweeds, any type of things like seafoods, there's a lot of trace minerals and a lot of magnesium. There is lots of calcium in there as well, but all the other trace minerals built into it. So just for things to increase, nuts, seeds, vegetables, seaweeds. They have these seaweeds that are like almost made into like chips. I get people to replace if they're chip eaters or they like that crunchy salt, we try to replace that with seaweed chips. And eventually it grows on them and they like it quite a bit. Plus, they can eat them all day and never gain weight. So, a lot of this, everything I just went through, is probably sounding so familiar that it's starting to sound like a broken record. And I hope that's true, because what you should be seeing as you're going through these podcasts is that there is massive overlap when you're using these particular treatments. Healthy diet, balancing hormones, getting exercise, taking a few supplements, and taking supplements that are, have multiple effects and benefits. And what you're going to see is it's not going to be just osteoporosis that you're preventing. You're going to be preventing every other health condition that we're talking about. It could be arthritis. It could be heart disease. It could be just hot flashes, night sweats. It could be brain fog. It could be thyroid function. All of these things, when you have a healthy, balanced treatment plan or prevention plan, you're not just preventing one thing. You're preventing multiple things. So, and you're going to see more of this as we go on, but you're just going to reinforce the ideas of how important it is to have this balance and these effects. So I hope this information was helpful. This is Doc Yates signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paramena Bliss podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and visit paramenobliss.com for more valuable information on how you can thrive during your transition through perimenopause. Join our community of like-minded women who are dedicated to achieving optimal health naturally, and stay up to date with the latest tips, tricks, and advice from Dr. Seth Yates. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Paramena Bliss podcast.